Hello, hello, hello. Sorry I'm so small right now. Um, hi. Hi guys. So tonight we're going to be finishing the book. I hope I'm not talking too loud. I can't hear myself. Um, I keep forgetting to set a new goal. Sorry. Why is it doing that? Okay. There we go. You look so good. Thank you. Hi, Tyler. Witchy, you're such a bad boy for mommy. Maybe I should adjust this a little bit. Move my circle thing. Oh my god. It's like hitting my desk. I need to tighten this. There we go. A lot better. Okay. Hi, I always miss the stream since it's 3 a.m. in my country. No. Gamers. Hi, Witchy. How are you tonight? You look so good. Or the makeup today. Yes, makeup today. Nikki with a smile. So I'm probably not going to be streaming for long today. I put finishing the book, but I can't promise that I will. I'm going to try my best. I probably shouldn't have put that because I'm really tired. But I just figured I would show up for you guys and finish reading this. This is how much we've got left. About 100 pages, so it shouldn't take much longer to finish. Alright. We are on chapter 34. This is Amelia's perspective. After dinner, Amelia returned to their guest room and went to the bathroom to get a glass of water. She downed half of it in one gulp, washing the taste of wine away, and water dribbled out of the corners of her mouth. She had never had wine before, and she hoped no one had noticed, but it had gone to her head so quickly, she wanted to go to bed, but she couldn't. She turned on the faucet in the tub and let the water run down out of the thoughts rushing through her head. This whole trip had unfolded exactly as she'd planned, with the exception of the guests at Sarah's house. Alex and company were eyewitnesses that she needed, but the more time she spent with Josh, the more doubt started to creep in. In the mirror, Mignon stood next to her, her back pressed up against the wall, same as Amelia. Her gaze locked on Amelia's own. "You might be wrong about Josh," Mignon said. "You don't know if he killed me, or if I'm even dead." "No," Amelia said. "I know he did it. He's guilty." She braced herself on the sink, head bowed low. Her head felt too light from the wine, and it made the rest of her body feel too heavy. Mignon shook her head. "You don't know anything. You don't have any proof." Here was the face of the person she trusted most in the whole world, and she was saying things that Amelia didn't even want to consider. She'd been so focused on her plans she couldn't make any room for hesitation. Hesitation would mean failure, and she could not fail. It was not an option. "You have nothing," Mignon said. Doubt was a nasty sensation. It made the bathroom collapse around her, growing smaller with each past second, and the more she breathed, the closer the walls got. "Josh is the obvious suspect," Amelia said, eyes narrowing. "He did it. He was the last one to see you alive. What if you're ensnaring an innocent person? What if I went for a walk and fell? What if I was kidnapped by a stranger? What if I really did run off? What if it never What if I never loved you enough to come back? What if I killed myself? Shut up, Amelia yelled and smashed her fist into the mirror. The glass fractured like a spider web, and Amelia stared at it, shocked. She cradled her hand to her chest and let out a gasp. The pain finally acred across her knuckles, and her eyes watered. She wished she'd bled. Maybe it would feel like purging venom. Now her hands throbbed, and Mignon had vanished. There came a knock at the door. Amelia whipped around, pressing herself against the seat, and Josh opened the door a crack. Ams, I heard a... His eyes went to the broken mirror. Are you okay? I slipped, and Amelia blinked back tears and smiled through it. I'm so clumsy. Josh let himself in, closing the door behind him. His cheeks were flushed, the wine making him practically glow. What happened? Nothing. Did Alex say something to you earlier? You left in a hurry. What? No, this isn't about... Her hand pulsed with pain, and it was all she could think about. She tried to think of something, anything to get out of there. But Josh blocked the door. A shadow crossed Josh's face. He closed the gap between them, and she drowned in the smell of red wine. I saw the way he looked at you. Were you flirting with him? No, she said, for once speaking the truth. It spilled out of her when she said it. This was Reese Sanchez all over again. Her heart pounded. Josh got so close. He took up her whole world. He reached over to shut off the faucet on the tub. Droplets fell on the steady rhythm. Tap, tap, tap. Don't lie, he whispered. I'm not lying. Nothing happened. Nothing will happen. Josh towered over her. His eyes scanned her face, looking for something. His long lashes brushed the top of his cheeks as he looked down at her. Her heart palpitated and her throat echoed in the throb of her hands. She looked away, but he grabbed her just below her jaw, his fingers wrapping around her neck, forcing her head up. Look at me, he said. His fingers were solid and strong. His thumb pressed against her throat, and she knew all he had to do was squeeze. She froze. The memory of the man who'd make her fake IDs attacking her surged into the forefront of her mind. Just like before, her skin felt too tight, her lungs unable to fill up with air. So this was the real Josh, obsessive, possessive, and controlling. Josh, she gasped. Her breath shallow and quick. She didn't want to panic. Not now. The shadow lifted from Josh's face, and he looked at his hand on the side of her neck, as if noticing it was there. He released his grasp, holding his hand up as if unloading it, and rushed air into her lungs, making the light in the bathroom brighter than it really was. I'm sorry, he said, a little breathless. You know I'm crazy about you. I just got so protective. I don't want to lose you. Too many people in my life leave me. Like Mignon, Amelia thought. He asked, You won't leave me, will you? The ghost of Josh's hand on her neck was still warm on her skin. Amelia wanted to put that same fear into him. She wanted to make him taste his mortality. I will never leave you, she said, making her words smooth as silk, like a spider's web. Not ever. Amelia pressed her lips to Josh's, hard and swift, kissing him to spell her lie. She clutched the side of his face, making sure he couldn't pull away. He didn't fight her. Instead, he leaned towards her, a small moan escaping his throat. She nipped his lower lip, wondering what it would be like to make him bleed, make him feel pain, to make him afraid. She broke away to remember to breathe, and Josh smiled. You love me, don't you? She asked. Yes, he breathed. He yanked her closer, and her elbow knocked over a glass of water on the counter, and it shattered on the floor, making the voices in the dining room falter, but neither of them cared. Josh grabbed her by the wrist, pinning them above her head as he pressed her into the wall, kissing her again, squeezing them until it hurt, until she almost cried out. She kissed him back instead. He sighed against her, his hands clutching her sides, gripping her tight, his nails digging in just hard enough to pinch. He couldn't let her go, even if he wanted to. She was certain now that he was destined to ruin him. No more doubt. Chapter 35. This is in Harper's perspective. Hi, hopefully. How are you? Best voice in the world. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Just knock that over. Don't mind me. How was everyone tonight before I start this next chapter? I feel like I didn't talk to you guys enough, but I also want to be able to get as much of this book finished as I can. Good. Well, that's good, Nikki. I'm wonderful. How are you? I'm doing okay. I had a decent day ill. Thank you for asking. Better at reading than I am. I had to force myself to get better at reading in school because I hated being called on in class. So yeah, I'm not that great. I still mess up every now and then, but I used to be really slow. I used to read Harper didn't even hear when her mom and Lucy came home from a track field meet that evening. That's how I would read in school, just really spaced out. But I don't know, I had to go home and practice reading a little bit faster because everyone would basically whenever the teacher would call on me, and I hated that shit. I hated it so much. Nikki, thank you so much for the gifted sub. I love and appreciate you so much. W Nikki indeed. Hi V, how are you? Thank you for reading, of course. I'm doing fine. How about you, mommy, with a very nice soft voice? I'm doing good, Ver. Thank you. I can't read out loud, only in my head. It would be like that. No way. Like the first time I try to hit it all stream, and of course it's dead. What if I cry? Well, I mean, at least you were good, Solomon. I sucked at reading in school. Because my name is Barbie. Fire shirt. Thank you. AB. I know so much about you now. I know your real name. Mm-hmm. Does that scare you? Just joking. I just want to hit my vape. Hi, Sir Dire Raven. Hi, Moon Shadow. How are you? I used to be a good reader, but not really anymore. Over, you gotta practice. What's it called? Work out the brain. The brain is a muscle. You gotta work it out too, you know? Like doing Sudoku and stuff. Okay, V. No, my name isn't Barbie. It starts with K. Oh, I see. So does your teacher just call you Barbie? My real name is Loco. On my way to you right now. Just because you told me your name, I know exactly where you live. I know your mom. I know your dad. I know your sisters. I know your brothers. I know your aunts. I know your uncles. I know what school you went to. I know what your first job. I try LOL reading chat is helping. Well, that's good. Oh my, mommy doesn't remember my name. I'm so bad with names. I'm so much better with faces than I am names. My brain will work. Same Nikki. So my name is all over the Barbie movies. So everyone messes. Oh, your name is Ken. You just made it so easy for me. Nah, it's Cole. I'm not a name person. I remember faces more. Stalk Me. You'd like that one. You Lil Tecca made a song about you. It's called 500 Pounds. Oh, really? Do you have like some kind of kink for people that are like 500 pounds or something? I honestly wouldn't doubt it. Honestly, I haven't listened to your ASMR voice in a while. It's really pretty. Well, thank you, Solomon. Solely. I would. Hi, Adam Killer. How are you? Nobody online knows my real name except for a few people. Nah, I felt like being a bad person. I feel like you don't have to try. Like you don't have to try to do that, buddy. Yeah, my professor plays around with me and says I live in a dream house. I wish I lived in a dream house. An MRI is your worst nightmare. You know, piercings can be taken out, right? It'd be different if I had like dermals all over my body. But I don't have any dermals. Everything I have in my body can be taken out. It takes so much effort. You know, I literally just took all of my piercings out just for a TikTok video not too long ago. Definitely doesn't take too much effort. It takes like 5 minutes, if that. It takes like 2. Drink that water, stay hydrated. Yeah. My real name is a very common name, you know, studying so I can discover all of your names. But then you gotta put them back in. That's the best part, though. Also, are you feeling any better from the allergies and hoping your throat is feeling better? Allergies are still kicking my ass, but my throat's feeling better. I think it was just from using the Afrin to like be able to breathe. Because the Afrin like hit the back of my throat and that shit does not feel great. I feel like you definitely know my name. I don't know. I feel like it's definitely like Nick or something. I could be wrong. That's just a guess. I missed my eyebrow piercing. I had to take it out for play, and the hole immediately closed because it was also. Oh no. Fucking rip. I hate that so much. I will be so honest. I've had piercings closed before, and I just shove it straight through the scar tissue. I just shove the jewelry back in. I'm not gonna lie. My name, geez, yeah, I've done that so many times. Especially my cartilage. I like up here. I got this pierced, my cartilage, whenever I was like 15, and it hurts to fucking sleep on. So I'll like get pissed off and take it out, and then I'll decide I want it back in, so I'll just fucking shove the jewelry through. I done the same thing with my snake bites as well. I took them out for a few years, and then I shoved them bitches back in. I mean, I'm not going back and paying to get them re-pierced if I can just shove it back in. Why would I pay for that? It's basically what they're doing. Oh my god. IDK, stop spamming song lyrics in chat. You're gonna get timed out, dude. Just use a pen to open it again. I just used the jewelry. You're so smart, I know, right? Yeah, but they have a needle. I don't know. I went to the dentist one time and I had to take out like all my mouth jewelry. And I had just got my angel fangs like a month or two before, and they closed up with the amount of time that I was at the dentist. And they didn't like use a needle. They just shoved a taper in that bitch. Do you at least sterilize the jewelry before stabbing it through? Do you think I'm dumb? Yes, I sterilize the jewelry. I sterilize all my jewelry. I take all my jewelry out and I like soak it every now and then because it gets nasty. Wait, they closed that click? Yeah, because they were recent. They were only 2 months old. It's recommended to keep jewelry and piercings for at least like 7 to 9 months after getting them pierced so they don't close up. She puts them in vodka. You know it. Don't want mommy losing her ears. Listen, if I'm gonna lose my ears, it's not gonna be due to a piercing. Alright. Watch doesn't have ears? Huh? Because I bit them. That's crazy. Alright, gonna get back into reading. I refuse to believe she has ears. I literally just showed them to you. What are you talking about? Chapter 35, Harper. Harper didn't even hear when her mom and Lucy came home from a track and field meet that evening. You know what? Sorry. I was fixing the little ad problem. They're gone now, so they don't exist. Bless you. Thank you, guys. She had been holed up in her bedroom, eyes aching from staring at her computer screen all day and well past sunset. Harper, her mom's voice carried down the hallway. Dinner! She could smell the garlic bread already. They must have stopped at Nino's, their favorite Italian restaurant. But still, Harper didn't get up. She couldn't stop staring at the Facebook page. Everything clicked together like the last piece of the puzzle missing from the box had been found under the couch. She just had to shine a light to see it. Amelia Ashley was playing a game no one could understand, not unless they were paying attention, and Josh Ruder was her endgame. Revenge, that's all it was. And it had all started in Eureka, the place the missing girl Mignon Lee was from. The word itself wouldn't have been significant, but context gave it meaning. Josh's background check had blown everything wide open, but it had only been the start. Now she knew everything. She'd spent all day, ever since she found out about Josh's past with the previous missing person case, finding out any information she could about Mignon Lee. She was a 17-year-old girl in a relationship with a guy named Bennett Reuter when she went missing 2 years ago, leaving behind a family who mourned her, desperately searching for answers in the dark, with no one to help. There were only 2 newspaper articles about him. One was when he was questioned, and one was when he was cleared of all suspicion. Everyone decided that Mignon had run away. Mignon had, as they said, slipped through the cracks, as if it couldn't have been helped, as if there were nowhere to lay the blame. No, the system ignored girls like Mignon every day. She hadn't slipped through the cracks. She had been pushed. The police never gave her a second look. Newspaper made half-hearted attempts to run her story, and her name didn't trend on social media. Harper wasn't surprised that it took this long for the truth to come out about Josh. Police were hard-pressed to share cases outside their jurisdiction. If they had, maybe the cops in San Diego would have been able to figure it out by now. No one cared about Mignon Lee. No one except Amelia Ashley, and now Harper. She stared at Mignon Lee's abandoned missing persons page, a page created by a familiar face. It was hard to believe. Lucy barged into Harper's room. "Mom told me to come get you," she said, annoyed by the task. Harper leaned up from her chair and grabbed Lucy in the tightest hug she could muster. "Harper." Lucy huffed and struggled, pushing against her. "What are you doing?" Harper grabbed Lucy by the arms to look at her and scrunched up her face. "You're being weird," said Lucy. "She's her sister." "What?" "Amelia Ashley is Mignon's sister, the other missing girl Josh Ruder was tied to." Tears swarm in her vision. "What?" Lucy said again, this time shocked rather than confused. Harper explained. Mignon's family was devastated. She had a younger sister, Amelia. I found the page Amelia made for her after she went missing. It took me too long to find it because she tried to erase it because she tried to erase everything else, but she couldn't scrub this one thing from the internet because she needed to keep Mignon's page active. Maybe she couldn't let it go. It's the one part of Amelia Lee that still exists. This Facebook page. I accessed archives from her profile and found old pictures she'd uploaded. It's her. That's Amelia Ashley. She pulled up the photos to prove it, proving photos of a smiling family before tragedy. Lucy blinked, stunned. Oh my god, you're right. She looks so different. Wait, hold on. Amelia Ashley's Asian? Half. She's half Chinese, said Harper, like her sister. But she was passing for white, Lucy squinted. You can tell she's half Asian if you know, but I'm not sure I would have noticed otherwise. Yeah, but why though? Why pass for white? Harper shrugged. She wanted to get people's attention. It worked. And she wants revenge. She thinks Josh hurt Mignon. Really? Lucy asked, the garlic bread and pesto long forgotten. That's a lot for someone to do. Is it? Harper asked. I would do it for you. Good night, Nikki. I hope you sleep well. Thank you for stopping by. This book is called Going Dark. It is by Melissa de la Cruz. What is up with the hair right now? Lucy looked at her, dark eyes shining, then looked back at Harper's computer, taking everything in. Pictures of the sisters stared back, one of them smiling wide in a treehouse, another of them eating a huge Thanksgiving dinner, one of their arms thrown over each other's shoulders and laughing. How many photos did Harper have like that too? Harper scooped her up in a hug again, and this time Lucy didn't fight it. Lucy wrapped her own arms around Harper's ribcage and squeezed. Do you think she's alive? Amelia? Do you think she's out there? Lucy asked. Harper pulled back and wiped her eyes with the back of her wrist. Yeah, she said. I do. I think she wants to see Josh pay. She might be watching from afar, but it's only a matter of time before it all comes out. Are you going to tell someone? Lucy asked. I should, right? I mean, it's probably the biggest break in the case. The cops have been so confused about Amelia, running in circles trying to find this girl. As long as she stays gone, she's just a ghost. And you should say something. Get Mignon's name out there. Help Amelia, it's the right thing to do. And with that, Lucy left, headed for the kitchen. Harper remained staring at her computer for a few minutes. One question remained. What were you planning, Amelia Ashley? Hi, Jar. How are you? Going dark. Bravo 6. Oh my gosh. So if you haven't been here for the rest of the book, we've kind of read a lot so far. We're on page 274. Basically, Amelia had a sister, Mignon, and Mignon's boyfriend was Josh, who changed his name. This is so confusing. I'm trying to think. Okay. Amelia had a sister who went missing. Amelia believes that her sister's boyfriend killed her. And so Amelia gets a fake ID, starts over with a new identity in hopes of ruining Josh's life for revenge of, she thinks, him killing her sister. We don't know if he did or not. We don't know. Can I get another Polaroid if I save for it? Or is it just one per person? Of course you can get another one. Um, but yeah, Amelia, whenever she started over as a new person with this new life and everything, trying to get back at Josh, she started like a YouTube channel and stuff, and she got really big, like had millions of followers on everything. She did say that she bought quite a few to kind of start getting somewhere. But yeah, I guess she, I don't know, she just kind of stopped posting on social media and stuff after everything, so that's why it's called Going Dark, because she just kind of disappeared. But yeah. Who made the book? It's by Melissa de la Cruz. Okay. Chapter 36. Amelia. In their room at Hotel Artemide, Amelia used a straight razor to make a small incision right above her eyebrow. The mirror helped her see what she was doing. She needed to be precise to make the cut invisible as possible, blending in with the shape of their hair, the hairs in her brow. To plant the evidence, she needed to bleed a lot, but not enough that the cut would leave a visible mark or make it so deep that she needed to get stitches. She knew that there was a lot of blood vessels in the head. There had to be enough blood where the police would inevitably search his suitcase. They would find it. As soon as she dragged the metal edge across her skin, crimson bloomed above her eye. She didn't even flinch. She used his t-shirt as a wrap, catching as much of her blood as it flowed freely, and ate a granola bar while she waited. She had never been bothered by blood. It was a fact of nature, more of an inconvenience than anything. She needed physical evidence that something had happened. Without it, she would just be missing. She needed to plant clues, show her hand, just a little bit, even if she kept a loaded deck in her back pocket. If the police couldn't prove it right away with DNA, they would know the blood type from the blood donation blog. It would be enough to put Josh in the crosshairs. As a bonus, some of her hair might be mixed in with the blood, 2-for-1 special. She and Josh had already packed for their trip home. Amelia had offered to do it for him while Josh checked out at the reception desk downstairs. She was this dutiful, doting girlfriend, so thoughtful and conscientious. It gave her plenty of time to work. She never planned to get on the plane with him. He would never check his suitcase. She knew him too well. He would be too lazy to open it and unpack everything by the time he got home, opting to pull out any clean clothes he had left one by one as he needed to use them. And by then the damage would be done. Mignon watched in the bed in the hotel, eyes vacant and dull, just like Amelia's, as she waited for the cut to stop bleeding on its own. My cat's trying to get in. I'm trying to freaking finish this page. There's still time to stop, Mignon said softly. If you go through with this, there's no turning back. I'm beyond that point now, Amelia said. She checked the cut. It had almost clotted. And Josh's t-shirt was more than thoroughly smeared with red. She wadded up the shirt and shoved it in his suitcase, haphazardly, as if he'd put it there in a panic, not in the right state of mind to think to throw it out. Satisfied, she closed and locked his suitcase, wiping any remaining blood with tissues. By this time tomorrow, she would be as good as dead. She glanced at Mignon, sprawling on the bed, and smiled. But Mignon's expression was flat, disapproving. Gotta let my cat in. Your voice is so soothing. Well, thank you. Who is that ill? Like, what from? Yeah, Diablo is my cat. No, my chair is loud. My chair is just fucking loud. Sure, buddy. Okay. Suck my dick. This won't work, Mignon said. She stared up at the ceiling. He'll get away with it again. I planned everything. This can't go wrong. It won't. Everyone will see what he's done, even if it's all been a lie from me. It's not your story. You're right, it's yours. Everything Amelia had posted online had been a lie. Yes, the relatable, inspirational, authentic girl had been a fraud all along. Josh had been too swept up in his own narrative to realize it had all been Mignon's spirit she was mirroring back to him. You're making a mess, Mignon said. She gestured to the blood tissue in the trash can. Amelia would need to hide those too. She picked up the tissues and shoved them into her jean pockets. She would throw them out in the public trash can in the lobby on the way out to her own death. Revenge is messy, she said. By the time Amelia looked up at the bed again, Mignon had vanished. Fine, Amelia said. Be that way. She looked at herself in the mirror again, checking the cut above her eyebrow. No one would ever notice, and even if they did, she had 1,000 excuses lined up and ready. I'm going to find you, Mignon. She tucked her compass necklace beneath her shirt, its usual hiding place. Amelia, too, would disappear in the chaos. Chapter 37. Harper. Yeah, hi, Harper said, stepping up to the San Diego Police Precinct counter to a bored-looking officer in the midst of writing something on a piece of paper. He looked up at her, eyes half-lidded. I'm here to talk to someone about Amelia Ashley. The precinct was, for all intents and purposes, popping off. Dozens of officers were milling around, processing handcuffed perpetrators in a waiting area. A handful of other civilians mingled in a separate waiting area. When someone was trying to get a bag of chips and had gotten stuck in the vending machine, a queue of people were lined up at a telephone waiting their turn to make a call. Their cell phones must have been confiscated. It was just past 4 in the afternoon, and Harper had skipped class to come with the evidence she'd gathered about Josh Reuter. She'd worked all night pulling any information she could about Mignon Lee and the inadequate investigation into her case. She'd compiled everything on a flash drive, ready to hand it over to someone who could actually use it to help find Amelia. The officer, the name tag read Porter, actually rolled his eyes. Oh yeah, let me guess, a psychic who claims to know where her body is? What? No, not at all. She was shocked by the accusation at first, but realized that she could have thought about how many phonies were trying to jump on the bandwagon of Amelia Ashley's disappearance. Can I move the mic a little closer? That's really as close as I can have it. Do you want my mouth touching it? Is there a detective in charge, or... Officer Porter sighed and brought out a form. It was filled with boxes for her to fill in. You can put your name, contact information, reason for visit. Parker licked her lips. Listen, I just need to talk to someone, she said. This won't take long. I have everything I need with me. She gestured to the messenger bag on her hip. Don't know if you can tell, but we're a little swarmed as it is. You're not the first person today to come in saying you want to help find Amelia Ashley. Now that she was looking at a badge, Harper's confidence had vanished. She couldn't tell them she was a hacker. The things she did to get info on Josh Reuter were technically illegal, but then again, she'd found them information that she was almost certain the San Diego Police Department didn't have, like Amelia Ashley's real identity. They would no doubt be upset about how she found it, having broken about a dozen laws in the process, and would probably charge her with something. She was not about to go to jail because she wanted to be a good Samaritan. Officer Porter, she said, cautiously, is there a way I can do this anonymously? Officer Porter's eyes narrowed. Why? Nothing important, I just don't want to get any blowback or whatever, retaliation. Officer Porter looked at her, but he didn't ask anything more. Harper knew that the best chance she had at helping Amelia was putting her name down, so she picked up a pen from the cluster in a cup on the counter and clicked it. She put her name down, trying to ignore the voice in her head telling her that this was a waste of time. She wanted to believe that the police could help Amelia here, but Harper was the only one who knew that this was bigger than they had realized. She knew that Amelia was planning something, that she was doing this for a reason. She planted those clues in her background, maybe on the off chance that someone like Harper would come along and pick up the breadcrumbs. Her pen hovered over the form. It was crazy to think, but Harper had a gut feeling this was all part of a grand plan. Amelia wanted someone like her to see that something was wrong and be unable to resist the mystery. Amelia Ashley was clever, vengeful, and manipulative, but she was doing something that mattered, and Harper could help in a better way. No, you know what? She crumbled up the paper and shoved it into the messenger bag with the laptop. Just forget it. Never mind. Officer Porter didn't seem to care one way or the other. He threw up his hands and exhaled sharply just as the phone on his desk rang. Harper took that as an opportunity to leave, returning to the outdoors and escaping the dank smell of the precinct. She hurried down the street, her heart pounding with what she was about to do. She was going to do this the old-fashioned way. She was going to the press. Posture check is crazy. Thank you. Lipstick must be on the mic by the end of the night is crazy. Amelia checked in at the Leonardo da Vinci International Airport for her red-eyed flight home. She stepped up to the counter as a new girl. Amelia Ashley had vanished. Glasses back on, no more golden hair. Makeup wiped clean. All that was left behind was a brunette in sneakers, leggings, and an oversized cardigan. Plain, forgettable, invisible. Exactly as she wanted. She was almost unrecognizable, but more importantly, she matched her new passport and travel documents. You can really get anything from the internet. Amelia couldn't stay in Italy forever, but lying low had been all the part of the plan. She'd seen the beginnings of Josh's downfall start from the comfort of an Airbnb she rented, to watch the chaos unfold as Instagram exploded with questions about her. Where is Amelia Ashley? At the time, she'd been kneeling by the clawfoot bathtub, dyeing her hair brown while she watched the True Crime Channel's YouTube video about herself. Josh looked so helpless and confused, and truly baffled in all the photos covering her disappearance. His selling of the poor boyfriend role was Oscar-worthy. She appalled him as her brown hair died in the tub. She meant every word she said when she attacked him. I hate you so much. Iceland. He was already thinking about the next trip with her, the place Mignon had always wanted to go. Iceland. Did he remember? Or was it uncautious? His expression was so open and hopeful, something inside of her snapped. She hadn't planned it that way, lunging over the table and scratching his arm so deeply she pulled skin out from under her nails as she walked away. She didn't care about the broken glass or the shock to her wrist. It was like she was possessed. She could still hear the confusion and hurt in his voice as she left. She meant to leave an impression, make a scene, leave signs of a struggle, forcing him to choose between telling the police an unbelievable truth or a believable lie after she was gone. Funny, she'd only meant to pretend. But when he said Iceland, the beast gnawing on her insides woke up, and Josh had set her plan into motion for her. It was all Josh's fault. He had no one to blame but himself. She had a narrow window of time to get back to America before too many people started paying attention to an international story, and right after she'd been deemed missing. She tried making her confessional video private, a video filmed in a moment of weakness after Josh kissed her in the bathroom, but she knew it was too late. If someone looked hard enough, they'd find it, and she needed to be ready. She slid her ticket and passport over the front desk at the airline, and the pretty woman typed her information into the system. Wendy Tessero, she said, her Italian accent bright and cheerful despite the late hour. Amelia sighed politely. Non-stop to New York, yes. Packing light, I see. Are you checking any bags? Amelia only had her carry-on with her. She'd thrown everything else away except for Mignon's copy of Peter Pan. No, I have all I need here, she said. She had to be placed in unassuming. No one would bother glancing her way. Excellent. There you go. The attendant slipped the ticket to Amelia and never once gave her a second look. Try as she might start a new life on the East Coast, Amelia was haunted. She found a rental house by the sea, practically a shack, on the Jersey Shore. It had internet, a bed, a small refrigerator, and that was all she needed to keep tabs on Josh. She sent a long overdue email to her mother. She hoped her mother was still keeping off social media and avoiding the news, as her support group advised. Things might get a little crazy soon, she wrote from her fake UCLA email address. All her lies would come tumbling down eventually. I miss you, stay strong. She hit send. She didn't quite know it would happen so fast. It was a television in Amelia's room that broke the news, drawing her attention away from her computer at the sound of his name. The anchor high brittle spoke to the camera. An anonymous hacker has released information to us here at the USN about Josh Reuter, the primary suspect in the missing person case of his girlfriend Amelia Ashley, who was at the center of another missing persons case 2 years ago. The hacker revealed that Josh Reuter, then going by the name Bennett Reuter, when he was 17, had been dating a girl by the name of Mignon Lee when she disappeared after spending a weekend at the family home near Shasta Lake in California. Mignon's smiling face from her Facebook page, the picture Amelia had picked out over a year ago, flashed on the screen. Amelia's heart thundered like a drum as she watched, tearing her eyes away from her laptop. Mignon Lee's body was never recovered, leading police at the time to suspect that she had run away, since she had previously run away from home. But as new questions circulated about Josh Reuter in connection with Amelia Ashley's disappearance, investigators can't help but wonder about the San Diego State sophomore. Mignon Lee's cold case had led current investigators to consider it a murder investigation. Amelia Ashley's whereabouts are still unknown, but investigators are starting to believe this is only the beginning. We go now live to our correspondents in San Diego, Faye Cavendish, for more. Faye? Amelia danced on her bed. She flailed her arms, screamed and cried and laughed, a whirlwind of emotions spewing out of her like a waterfall, and she couldn't stop. She didn't want to stop. She was high on vengeance. Mignon watched her silently from a corner of the room, wedged between the verticals of the walls met, and said nothing. Mignon's ghost never fit in the spaces Amelia's mind had made for her. Like she was simultaneously too big, too small, not quite right with the world that had forgotten her. They see you, Mignon, they see you, Amelia cried. She expected a phone call from her parents any time now, telling her Mignon's case was being looked at again, asking her to come home. She was too thrilled to feel guilty for keeping her secret from them. It was all worth it in the end. But Mignon didn't react. She just stared at Amelia. Her eyes were empty void. And Amelia wanted to fill it with something. Make her smile, make her laugh, make her proud. Mignon just looked at Amelia with those dark eyes of hers, shadowed by her French bangs, and Amelia didn't know why. What? Amelia asked, still buzzing with joy. I did it. I made them pay attention to you. Josh can't hide anymore. Everyone knows. Or at least suspects what he's done. I got him. I did it. Someone found him for what he is. At what cost? Mignon asked. Amelia didn't know what she was talking about. I thought you'd be happy. I did this for you. There's still time. For what? Mignon stepped out of the corner, filling up the shack, surrounding Amelia on all sides. Amelia's gasp when reality was tipping sideways, as rickety as the shack she lived in. You can confess. You can tell the world you're not missing, that you're alive. You're not a vigilante. My plan was perfect, better than perfect. Everything happened the way I wanted it to. I will find you. Mignon shook her head. This is not a story. There is no happy ending. Amelia's smile fell, and she dropped to the bed, making the springs squeak. Mignon didn't have the imagination she did. She couldn't see the big picture. Rage made her bitter. I don't care what happens to me. Well, I care, Mignon snapped. I care what happens to my little sister. What about you? You're dead. Why do you care about anything? Amelia blinked and Mignon vanished. She was ready to finish this, to see it through to the end, finally accomplish what she came here to do. Josh was going to pay. She threw herself back onto her bed and pulled out her phone. The spy software she installed on Josh's phone was still going strong. It included a GPS tracking system, and she watched his little dot lingering near her old apartment. He was waiting for something, the police maybe. He must have seen her ghost account's profile. She couldn't resist giving him some clues. He was missing out on all the fun unfolding on the news about Mignon right now. Such a shame. The world finally knew her name. She smiled wickedly as she imagined the look of horror on his face as he opened the door to the empty studio. It was time. She was only just getting started. To Josh, she sent the question, do you believe in ghosts? Chapter 39. Amelia. Amelia, alive this whole time, playing with him, framing him? Josh fled her apartment, back down the stairs, out into the street. With shaking fingers, he dialed the unknown number despite the roar of rage in his ears. The phone rang once, then twice, and his insides turned until the other end picked up, and Amelia sighed. Light, airy. He could envision the beautiful smile on her face even now. Hello, Josh. All he could do was breathe, failing to keep it under control. The muscles in his back shoot with rage. He couldn't even speak. I see you found my clues, she said. Did you see the one I left for you on my Instagram? You're alive. He barely moved his lips. Am I? Or am I just a ghost? Josh ground his teeth, fighting back every urge to shout and scream. Whatever you're doing, this has to stop. But we're beyond that, Josh Reuter. His eyes went to the windows of the building bordering the lane. He dodged traffic, cutting across the street, hurrying home. He wondered if she was here, watching him. How do you know about Eureka? He asked. Amelia clicked her tongue. Honestly, you need another clue? I thought you would have figured it out by now. My sister really was way smarter than you, Bennett. He hadn't heard that name in years. He'd done everything in his power to push his pest down into an untouchable place. An inky black pool he wouldn't dare touch at the risk of straining everything. His thoughts went to his suitcase, her blood. She'd planted it. He doubted she had gone as far as making the airline lose his luggage, but she was manipulative and cunning. To think all this time, McDonald's sister had tracked him down, set him up, made him a fool. It turned his thoughts into static. Did you forget about me? Amelia asked, her voice thickly sweet. Did you really forget what you did to us 2 years ago? What you did to her? He let out a growl of frustration. He should have seen it coming. He'd been so confident in everything he'd done to start over with a new life in San Diego, leaving behind Eureka like shedding a second skin. So everything was a lie. It was fun for a bit, though, wasn't it? But the game is almost over now. But we can both stop pretending. Are you watching me? Are you following me? I have eyes everywhere, Josh. Like I said, I'm a ghost. I'm here to haunt you. You can't hide forever. His laugh took on an edge of menace. I'll find you. You can try, but who will help you? No one will believe you. He had sudden understanding that she had him exactly where she wanted him. He could go to the police, but he had nothing. An empty apartment was literally nothing. That's why the police were so confused about Amelia's life. She had erased herself from existence. Even if he showed Detective Hinmars the Instagram comments, the texts, this phone call, it wouldn't matter. Amelia was playing a long game. Who would take him seriously anyway? The story would sound like ravings of a madman driven into the brink. What will you do now, Josh Reuter? Will you be able to talk yourself out of this one like last time? Will your parents help you again? Or is this one missing, presumed dead girl too many? You won't get away with this, and neither will you. He paused for a moment, his breath a shudder. Maybe we can work something out, strike up a deal. Oh, Josh, that's so cute. You think I can stop now? You're going to be disappointed. And unless you bring my sister back, you're out of luck. He laughed again. His mask was slipping, cracking at the edges. How long have you been tracking me? Long enough to know you've been in such a You've been a shut-in the past few weeks, staying home, locking yourself up to avoid suspicion. How boring of you. You can't prove anything. Yes, I can, she said. He could hear her grit her teeth. He was getting under her skin. You're a murderer. You'll never be able to prove it. Call it off before it gets out of hand. Amelia was quiet for a moment, then, slowly, she said, You made me this way, Josh. Don't underestimate me. I've been waiting for this a very long time. Josh couldn't help the chill that ran down his spine. I'm watching you, Josh. Oh, sorry. So her sister in the hotel with her, or the Airbnb or the house or whatever. So no, she's like fucking crazy and is like schizophrenic or something, and is like imagining her sister there or something like that. I'm watching you, Josh, she said. So are the police. You can't hide anymore. You're going to have to keep looking over your shoulder wherever you go now, because they will come for you soon. And when they do, I will be here to watch. Then she hung up and the line went dead. Josh stared at the home screen, stunned. Pure, unfiltered rage roared in his eyes, in his ears. She must have bugged his phone, tracked it somehow. How else would she have known he was in her apartment just now? She was a genius with computers, so it made sense. She must have done some things to his phone when he wasn't paying attention. Then he remembered that day after their date at the zoo. How she was on his phone while he was in the shower. He thought she'd been looking for evidence of cheating, but it was so much worse. She'd been watching him for months, and he hadn't even noticed. Rapidly, Josh shut off the phone, choked it out with the power button, and then, for good measure, shoved it deep into the trash can at the corner of the street and rushed home. Whatever Amelia was planning, he had to get ahead of it. Chapter 40. Amelia. Amelia threw the phone onto her bed, hanging up on Josh, and a sob escaped her. Mignon stood in her corner of the room, watching Amelia panting, gasping for air that felt like cotton. She hadn't expected to feel such a rush speaking to him, like she was somehow still the one in control. Like he was somehow still the one in control. He was Josh Reuter, the charming boyfriend who could get anything he wanted with a placating smile and a dash of humility. She needed to end him, now. That will be the last you hear from him, Mignon said. He'll be extra careful now. Amelia collapsed on the mattress and held her head held her head in her hands. He must have found the spyware on his phone, or at least figured out that she was watching him that way. Hearing his voice after so long felt like she'd reopened a wound. She flopped back, cuddling the pillow close to her chest. Mignon appeared in the bed next to Amelia, curled up on her side. "You're the only one who can make this stop. The only one." A tear slid down Amelia's face, landing in her ear. She blinked, and another one followed the first trail. Mignon reached out to wipe it away, but her hand never touched Amelia's face. It never could, never would again. She wasn't real, and Amelia was alone. She just wanted her sister back, and it was the one thing in the world she couldn't have. The tears flowed hot and thick, and she choked on her spit and wailed. Mignon only watched, a deep sadden in her eyes, and couldn't do anything to stop it. Amelia didn't want to be stopped anyway. It felt good to cry. "I can't stop, Mignon," she said. Her voice, thick with phlegm, was weak, but her eyes were hard. "I'm in too deep. Breathe. You are still alive. I'm still alive. You won't give up. I won't give up. You'll find me. I'll find you." She grabbed her phone again and posted a single picture. No captions, no tags. This one was for Josh. It was a photo of her necklace. Chapter 41. Josh. Josh was home to find Derek standing in the living room, watching the television. He didn't turn around, even as Josh burst in, breathless and bruised from climbing back in his bedroom window, then peeled off his cap and jacket and tossed them on the floor. Munch scurried for cover, dodging the falling clothes. "Hey man," Josh said, "I've got a huge problem." He didn't even know where to begin. Everything was unraveling so quickly, but he had to try. He then noticed what Derek was watching on TV, and his blood ran cold. It was the nightly news. Mignon Lee, a high school student, had been last seen near Shasta Lake. Bennett Joshua Reuter was never formally charged with Mignon Lee's disappearance. Josh could hardly believe what he was seeing. Mignon's face, her beaming smile, her silky black hair fraying out behind her, as she laughed on a swing. He never thought he'd see that face again. He should have known. Amelia had her smile. They looked so similar. It raised the hairs on his arm. With new eyes on the case, the reporter went on. "We sent our team to the scene to get a statement from the Lee family." The feed cut to a blonde-haired woman standing on her front porch, wrapped in a cardigan, and looking shocked as a camera crew rushed forward. "Miss Lee," a reporter shoved a microphone in her face. "Do you have anything to say?" "I don't really know what's going on. What's happening?" Derek slowly turned to him, his face pale. "What is this?" he asked. "Derek, listen, I can explain." Josh started talking before he even knew what he was going to say. All the while, Derek backed up, putting space between them. "Who is Mignon Lee? I'm being set up. The news says you went by another name? Bennett? Who even are you? What is going on? What's happening?" Derek had picked up Munch, cradling him to his chest. Josh pushed his hands out in front of him, pleadingly. "I'm being framed. This is all Amelia's fault. She's alive and she's pulling the strings." Now he regretted throwing his phone in the garbage. Without it, how was he supposed to convince Derek of anything? Derek shook his head, backing away slowly. Even Munch sensed something was different. "I'm not sure I even know you anymore," Derek said. "I thought we were friends, but..." "We are friends. You have to trust me," Josh said. He had to use every tool in his arsenal to convince him, but but it wasn't working. It was like a spell had been lifted. His charm had faded. Now he was naked and unmasked. Derek was looking at him like he saw who he really was, a murderer. No, it was all an accident. He didn't mean to. It just happened. Derek's phone rang in his pocket, and he answered it, not taking his eyes off Josh. His voice cracked when he spoke. "Hey, Tori." "Hang up, Derek. Don't talk to her. Don't let her turn you against me too," Josh thought. "Yeah, Derek went on, still looking at Josh. "No problem. Sure, I can meet you." Josh clenched his teeth. He was losing his best friend to Amelia's game. He tried to keep calm, but the foundation beneath him was crumbling. Derek hung up, his eyes shifting. Tori wants to hang out, so... Derek, please don't go. Sorry, man, Derek said, still holding Munch close to his chest. I'm not sure when I'll be back, but... Josh called his name, but Derek had already grabbed his keys and left. Derek was yet another thing Amelia had stolen from Josh. He watched through the front window as Derek hurried down the sidewalk, heading for Tori's, glancing back only briefly. The unmarked police car was still out front. Josh backed away from the window. He was running out of options. He didn't have time to grab anything. There was nothing to take anyway. The police still had all the clothes he'd packed from his trip. All he had was his jacket, his shoes, his hat, his wallet, and pure panic. The TV was still going, and his attention snagged on it as the reporter said, pulling her hand down from her ear. Breaking news. It appears that Amelia Ashley's Instagram account was recently updated as of 1 minute ago. It's a picture of a accomplice necklace. There it was, displayed as an instant graphic. We want to emphasize that the account may have been hacked to leave this to the police. Josh stared, his heart hammering. That necklace. He'd seen that necklace so many times. He'd played with it around Mignon's neck. It was hers. Unique like her. He'd never forget it. This was a message for him. He needed to go, now. He needed to check, to see for himself. Had Amelia found it? He couldn't leave without knowing, without waiting a second longer. He rushed to his bedroom and climbed out the window, once more, running into the night. Maybe he did believe in ghosts. Chapter 42. Amelia. I love her voice as well. It makes me melt when I listen to it. You guys are so sweet. Thank you, Deep and Vert. Chapter 42. Amelia. A hurricane raged outside the window pane. She pulled out her phone from her pocket just as the captain's voice carried through the cabin. Good evening, folks. This is your captain speaking. We're a little delayed with the weather, but we're going to sit here on the runway until we get a go-ahead from the control. We'll be on the sunny west coast and out of this downpour in no time. Amelia wished she could make the flight go already. She was running out of time. It was Josh's turn to make a move. What makes you think this will work? Mignon asked from her usual seat beside Amelia. He doesn't know it's mine. He'll think it's yours. You always wore it, never went anywhere without it. Most likely you had it when you disappeared. No matter what, he's going to want to know. For sure. The plane started to taxi down the runway. She felt the engine rumbling beneath her shoes and looked out the window at the raging storm outside. The rain splattered against the window, and the plane shook with force of the wind. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and relax. We're on our way, the captain's smooth voice said, and the plane started accelerating. Amelia's back pressed deeper into the seat. She gripped the armrest tightly and closed her eyes. If they crashed because of the storm, what would happen then? Amelia would just be another anonymous passenger, using a fake name that no one would ever look into. She willed the plane to fly. The planes roared, the engine driving them forward, and there was a lurch, and Amelia's stomach swooped horribly as the wheels lifted off and they were airborne. The whole cabin shook, buffeted in the wind, and Amelia clamped her eyes shut, imagining the look on Josh's face, inevitability panicking as his life crumbled to ashes between his fingers. To distract herself from the vision of falling out of the sky and crashing into a fireball. The storm seemed endless, and Amelia started to wonder if they would ever make it out. But as if someone had flipped a switch, the air evened out and the plane broke through the cloud cover. Bright sunlight poured into the cabin. Rain streaked against the window, disappearing with the plane's ascent above the gray blanket churning beneath them. It was like they had emerged into another world, peaceful and bright, exactly what everyone said heaven looked like. The knot in Amelia's stomach loosened, and she allowed herself to breathe. She had made she had made she had made it this far. She was going home. She was going to find Mignon. Her body thrummed the same as the engine beneath her feet. In just a couple hours, she would have him. Joss always thinks he's smarter than everyone else in the room, Mignon said. Exactly. Which is why he thought he would get away with this, Amelia replied. He already found the tracking app on his phone. He's cocky. He thinks he caught you. He did, but he's missing the real tracking device. Mignon smiled. He was always so lazy. Amelia remembered holding Josh's Nikes out to him, like a doting housewife. If I pack up for the flight, would you check us out at the front desk? She batted her eyes at him. Of course, I could get used to this, he said, smiling as he slipped on his shoes. See you in a bit. She gazed out the window as the dazzling... I can't read right now. She gazed out the window at the dazzling sunlight. He'd never see her coming. Part 8. Truth. Chapter 43. Harper. The kitty. Harper sat at her computer, staring at her work unfolding on Twitter. Thanks to her, the media had jumped on Josh's name change like sharks feeding them chum. The twist was too good to ignore. Now both Amelia and Mignon's names were filled her whole feed. She hoped that the news outlets would honor her request to stay anonymous. She was almost positive if anyone had found out how she got her information, she would be charged with something serious. But it got people talking, and that's what mattered. The more people who knew that Josh Ruder was involved in 2 missing persons cases, the better. The fact that Amelia and Mignon were sisters was still a secret she intended to keep. If Amelia was planning revenge, Harper needed to be patient. It was Amelia's play now. Harper was just waiting on the sidelines. Everyone wondered if there could be more missing girls, if Josh was a serial predator, if he was hiding more secrets. Harper had lit the match for an explosion of speculation. Was this your doing? Lucy appeared at Harper's doorway, holding her phone aloft. Her feed was filled with news about the necklace, too. She was in her running gear, either coming from or going on a jog. Harper had lost track of time. She glanced at the clock on her computer. It was the afternoon, so Lucy was probably heading out. Everyone was talking about it at school, she said, coming over to Harper. I had nothing to do with that. I wouldn't hack into her account. Besides, she's too good. This has Amelia written all over it. So she's sending one final message? Harper nodded, and Lucy braced her hand on the desk. Looking at Harper's screen, she raised an eyebrow. Planning a vacation? I'm keeping an eye on flights coming in and out of San Diego. She showed Lucy the entire list of passenger manifests from every single flight heading into San Diego, with names and credit card info included. To say this was illegal was an understatement. What for? Asked Lucy. That photo she uploaded makes me think she's baiting Josh. She wants him to make him sweat. We all want to go home. We can't stay gone forever. She is coming back to finish the job. What job? How do you know? I don't think getting Josh arrested is her ultimate game plan. I think it's part of it, but not all of it. She has unfinished business. A name caught her eye on the screen, and she froze. Holy shit, Harper said, staring. What? Harper pointed to a name on the itinerary, seat 38A. That's her. How do you know? Wendy Tessero. Wendy Darling. Darling in Italian. She talked about Peter Pan being her favorite book all the time in her vlogs. Seriously? Lucy was looking at Harper, and Harper said, What? She used other aliases like it before. Wendy Corita, Lebeling, Sherry, all our different languages for darling. Is it really beyond anything that's happened already? Can you prove it? No, she said. Even I'm not that good. Then it could just be nobody. How do you know for sure? Gut instinct. Lucy scoffed. Why come back? If it really is her on that flight, why risk being found out? Harper thought about it for a moment. It was a valid question. Harper knew Amelia was smart. She was clever, had a whole game laid out for what she needed to do. If the girl was anything like Harper, she would have itemized list and step-by-step process for carrying out her revenge. Though if she really did risk someone recognizing her, it had to be for something important. They never found Mignon's body. Never could prove that she was dead, but what if Amelia is doing this so she can get the drop on him? Maybe she's doing this so she can learn the truth. Maybe she's going to find Mignon. Harper, this is starting to sound beyond your pay grade. You're out of your depth. Do you think this could be for the police to handle? They've already felt her once. What's to say she's not going to take the justice into her own hands? Do you really think they'd believe me anyway? Where did they say Mignon was last seen? Shasta Lake in California. She pulled up Google Maps view and typed in the city name. I can find Josh's family cabin address. It'd be a good place to start. Harper, you lost your damn mind. There's millions of acres of woods around it. How do you know you'd find anything? That's like threading a needle from space, right? She pointed to the vast swath of green taking up almost the entire Google Maps page. It was all national forest with rough terrain, most not seen by human eye in a long time, if ever. Harper jutted out her jaw, thinking. Lucy had a point. How would Amelia do it? How would she follow him? Before, Harper had been thinking like a dead girl. Now she needed to start thinking like a vengeful one. Amelia would have a way, though. How, though? She was mostly thinking out loud. She didn't feel like she was smarter than the average person. It was just that not everyone had time or interest to do what she did. She understood computers, and oftentimes she didn't understand people. But for some reason, she understood Amelia. Yo, Molo guy, thank you so much for the 100 bits. There are many people you
and I am forever
could
grateful
have
you
chosen
chose
to be, and I'm
you.
forever grateful you chose to be you. You're so sweet, Molo. Thank you. Diablo's just chilling. He's always just chilling. But for some reason, she understood Amelia. Even if she didn't think she could ever do anything that Amelia had done, she still felt like kinship. She still felt a kinship that resonated within her like harmony. Different notes, same song. Harper wondered if there wasn't another way, a more basic way to track Josh. She had bet that Josh might leave his phone either turned off or in airplane mode, knowing it would be tracked as it pinged the nearest cell station. So how could Amelia keep an eye on him from afar? This guy is smart on his own, right? Harper asked, watching Lucy getting ready for her run. He's avoided the police for so long, so he must know what to look out for if people are on his tail. Lucy adjusted the armband that held her phone against her bicep. She would use it to listen to music while she ran. I guess. So the real question is, how do you follow someone who knows they're being followed? Harper didn't have a good answer. Lucy retightened her ponytail and headed for the door. Whatever it is, I hope she can find some closure, she said. A thought occurred to Harper. Lucy, what do you use when tracking your running routes? My phone mostly. Some of my friends put stuff in their shoes to monitor their pace and gait. Why? Harper had been keeping tabs on Amelia's purchases before she disappeared. One of them was a marathon running chip from an athletic store. What were the odds? Lucy sensed that Harper's thoughts were miles away, and she started to head out once again, but Harper stopped her. Hey, she said. Lucy paused at the door and looked back, waiting for Harper to say whatever was on her mind, but Harper wasn't sure she could form the words well enough. She settled instead on saying, "Be safe, okay?" A look crossed Lucy's face, and she might have known what Harper was trying to say. All she did was nod once, her lips pressed together to make a solid line. Sure, you too. When Lucy left, Harper got to work. With a few clicks, she pulled up Joss's phone records. He got one phone call from an anonymous number before it went dark. From an unknown number. The only thing that could spook him enough was Amelia. It had to be her. With another few clicks, Harper traced the anonymous number. Where it pinged off cell towers, she was here. The phone had clocked in at the San Diego airport. If Harper couldn't follow Josh, she knew she could follow Amelia. She looked up at the clock again. Wendy Tereso's flight had just landed. There was no time to lose. Harper stared up at the car. Harper started up the car and the engine hummed to life. She tapped on the screen of her phone and saw the little blue dot that was Amelia at the airport. Her heart hammered and she gripped the steering wheel of her mom's car, making her knuckles turn white and her breath shaky. Harper didn't think of herself as a hero, so what was she doing? She knew Amelia was about to do something rash, but if Amelia was following Josh, this was her chance for Harper to do something more than find a missing girl. It felt bigger. The word itself too big to sit inside of the car with herself. Justice? Vengeance? Redemption? She glanced at her phone, sitting on the empty passenger seat. Maybe Lucy was right. Maybe this was above her pay grade. The cops were better equipped to handle this, even Harper had to admit. But if Amelia was planning to do something drastic, maybe going so far as to kill Josh out of revenge. She grabbed her phone and started to dial. Trusting the police were starting to seem like the better play, but something held her back from hitting the green button and to call just yet. I cannot read right now. This is bad. She had every reason to hate Josh, but she didn't want Amelia to throw everything away because of him. There was still time. All Amelia had been working towards was getting closure, solving this mystery. If Harper called the police now, it would all be over, and Harper could still help her. She put the phone down on the passenger seat, backed out of the driveway, and took off towards the highway. She would call the police at the very last minute, hoping she wouldn't be too late. Okay, guys, drink some water. I will eventually. I'll be right back. I'm doing good, Deep. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I hope everyone had a good Thursday. My hair is looking crazy as always. Thank you guys for the follows, by the way. I appreciate each and every one of you. Got juice all in my mouth. Well, I guess that's for you to find out if you misbehave. Your makeup looks good. Thank you, Bird. My vape just spit all over me. Your voice has inspired me to write a short story just now. Oh, what are you writing about, Solomon? The Last Night of the Prince. Hell yeah. You'll have to let me know how it goes whenever you're done. How it is whenever you're done. I don't know. Alright. We're almost done, guys. Look how little we have to read. Okay. Chapter 44. Amelia. The moment Amelia set foot in California, she felt off-kilter. The world seemed to have shifted beneath her feet. It was as if she had forgotten on the way from the terminal to the outside world that she had a body or a name. She was remembering what it felt like to be home again. Though it felt more like she was at the place where home should be, like the aftermath of a fire, the foundation of nothing but ash and cinder. Ruins that once held so many memories, now nothing more than a smudge of dirt on the ground. Every step she took through the crowds of travelers, she thought she saw Mignon standing still as the world passed, watching her with eyes full of sadness and fear. "Go back, Amelia," she said. "No," Amelia whispered. Mignon watched as Amelia exited the airport, took a shuttle to the parking lot at the north side of the airport. She swayed with the shuttle as it turned a corner on the tarmac. "Go home, Amelia," Mignon said. "I can't," Amelia whispered. She got off the shuttle and walked, her backpack the only possession she had left, filling with nothing but a change of clothes, her laptop, Mignon's book, and a half-eaten bag of peanuts. She kept her head low, her eyes swiveling from side to side as she picked the right kind of car to take to her final destination. In the long-term parking lot at the airport, she found one. No one would miss it for a while. Mignon was leaning on it, a blue Honda Civic, her arms folded over her chest. "Leave it," she said. "No," Amelia whispered. My cat's clawing to be let out now. I'll be back. Okay. Well, I'm glad you love it deep. Cat just does what he like, indeed. "No," Amelia whispered. She ducked low, keeping an eye on the security camera positioned at the four-spoke streetlight above. If she wasn't careful, the alarm would go off. She'd never stolen a car before, but she had learned how. What was one more crime? Push down, latch the end, pull until the resistance, tug up firmly. She got in the car and searched for the keys. She didn't want to have to figure out how to hotwire an engine. The security guards might appear at any second, the parking lot would have been monitored, and she had little time left. She searched the glove compartment, the cup holder, the sun visor. The keys fell into her lap. "I'm not going with you," Mignon said. Amelia's eyes lifted to the rearview mirror. Mignon was sitting in the back, her face turned out by the window, looking at the world as if it had not yet started passing her by. "I can do this on my own," said Amelia. "I know." Amelia put the car in reverse and backed out of the space. The car had a full tank of gas. Good. She followed Josh's little blue dot on the map. He was heading to Shasta Lake, or his idiotic Nikes with the marathon runner's chip hidden inside. He was leading her somewhere she could not escape from, a black hole of destiny. Amelia's gaze went back to the rearview mirror, looking at Mignon. The image of her sister didn't move, didn't blink. A life, frozen in time, frozen in Amelia's memory. Amelia wondered if she remembered her right, if she recalled the correct angle of her nose or the brightness in her eyes, whether her lips actually turned down all the time or if they really turned up. And then Amelia realized that it was her in the mirror, staring back at herself. Mignon was dead, dead and gone. Amelia was alone, with no one, with nothing. She was insane. She had gone nuclear. She was a ticking time bomb. Tick, tick, tick. Time's almost up. "I'll find you," Amelia said, searching in the mirror for her sister, waiting for her to reappear. "This can only end one way." The disembodied voice floated from the back seat. "I'll find you. One way." Chapter 45. Amelia. Amelia drove for hours all the way up Route 5, taking breaks only when she needed to, never long enough to breathe in the crisp Northern California air as she got deeper and deeper into the green hills, leaving behind the city smog and asphalt for fresh earth and evergreens. She'd never been to the Shasta Trinity National Forest before, and even now she couldn't enjoy it. There was something about a towering pine that made a person feel small, insignificant, a blip in the great expanse of time it took for the tree to grow from a sapling into the giant looming over her. Amelia took the winding roads, hardly ever seeing another car pass her. Coming or going, it stretched on, curving and sloping, Amelia blindingly following, chasing the little blue dot of Josh's tracking device as she gained on him. Her breathing was the only sound in the car. She didn't play music or talk to herself or hum to pass the time. All she had was the road and the trees on either side, and the dotted yellow line guiding her forward. He was leading her somewhere, whether he knew it or not. He was leading her, and she was following. The day shifted from afternoon to night, casting the sky from a husky orange to a murky, bruised purple, bleeding into the black veil. The further she got from the city lights, the air changed too, from chewable to alive, as if the air had come from a different planet. She had to turn on the headlights to see, and even then, it was only a bit at a time, the light illuminating a part of the road, obscuring the rest. The darkness seemed alive, pressing on her from all sides. The road curved and turned away from her, and she had to keep up. Like Mignon, it danced out of reach. She drove through the night, punching herself in the thigh to stay awake, biting her lip and pinching the thin skin behind her ear hard enough to draw blood in her fingernails. All the while, she watched her phone, checked that Josh's little blue dot was still moving north on the same road, driving. Moment ahead, a flash or something to her right, bounding towards her. Amelia slammed on the brakes, grinding the car to a screeching halt. A deer stood in the middle of the road, stock still, staring at her car. Tail was up, at the ready, and its nose twitched in her direction. Even in the headlights, it blended in with the forest around it, the tawny brown fur and its black like a tree bark. A doe. If she hadn't braked in time, she would have hit it head on, she gasped, breathing heavily as she watched, daring the deer to move. She imagined what it would have felt like if she really had hit it, the deer thumping horridly on the hood of the car, the sound like a body going down, a slide of blood smeared across the windshield, the squeal as it died. Deer died all the time. This one would have been one of many to suffer at the hands of bad luck, and yet Amelia had stopped. She didn't want to hurt it, and she never thought she could. She wanted to get out, scream at it, yell at it to get out of the way, but she didn't. She sat firmly in the seat. Her lower back ached. Thank you so much for the 5 bits, Nico. Greetings, hello from Poland. Well, hello, welcome in. Her lower back ached from the drive, and her bottom felt as if she'd been sitting on the hard concrete all day after the long flight. She wanted to shout at the deer to run, that it was too dangerous, but the deer stared her down as if it knew exactly what it was doing. Again, movement from the side of the road. Another deer darted out. Leaping over the ditch on the shoulder, it joined the first one, pausing long enough that both deer stood, looking at her car before they bounced into the woods together on the side of the road, vanishing in the solid darkness that surrounded them. All that remained was Amelia's ragged breathing, and the hum of the car's engine and idle. Josh's little blue dot had stopped just outside of Shasta Lake. It stayed there for a long time, almost like he was waiting for her. Morning was coming. She couldn't stop it. The sun would rise, and she would meet him there. She pushed the car onward. Shasta Lake was a small tourist destination in a quiet corner of a suburbia. Even though she'd never been there before, the road, and strip malls, and sprawling blacktop parking lots had a hint of familiarity. I can't speak right now. Dude, okay. We have like 10 pages left. It's crazy. Sprawling the blacktop parking lots had a hint of familiarity. She could have sworn she'd walked down these roads before, stopped at the pharmacy, stopped at the grocery store, played in that park. But it was a trick of the mind. Suburbia was safety and familiarity. There were no strangers in suburbia, only people who'd swore they'd been there before, and maybe they had. How would they ever really know? Amelia took CA 151 all the way to the end of the road, towards Joss's little blue dot on the other side of Shasta Dam. The road took her through the winding foothills as she ascended higher and higher as the day grew stronger and stronger. She was nearing the end. Her heart thumped in her chest with every turn, expecting to see Josh waiting for her around every bend until finally she could drive no more. The road had ended at an overlook, a small unpaved shoulder where cars would park to outlook across the lake created by the dam. A car was parked there. The cliffside below was covered in trees and underbrush, tall sugar spine and needly conifers, a green and glowing. The sun rose high enough over the surrounding mountains and made the little sparkle like freshly cut diamonds on a blue velvet blanket. She got out of the car and admired the view. They were only a mile away from Josh's family cabin, an easy walk along the shore. Josh's blue dot was here. She only had to walk a little further. She glanced at her phone, then took a photo. Remember this place. Remember her. A dirt path cut through the underbrush, and Amelia followed the trail, followed the little blue dot all the way to the bottom. She heard him before she saw him, Josh Reuter, digging, hauling up dirt. His back was to her, his shirt drenched in sweat. He hadn't heard her coming. She watched him for a moment, cradling a pressing feeling to her chest. Was it victory or anguish or vicious rage? She didn't know. All she knew was the feeling of her chest about to collapse on itself. The flush of her skin despite the cool morning air. The rage in her head of 1,000 things she wanted to say to him, the venom that she wanted to spit. Josh stopped digging his hole for a moment and rested against his shovel. He must have heard something, perhaps the beating of her feverish heart, because he turned around and looked at her. His hair was damp with sweat, and the long ends hanging in his eyes. His chin was smeared with dirt, his chest heaved with the exertion. Standing before him now, she couldn't move. Terrible, handsome, charming. His expression didn't change as he took in the sight of her. The girl standing before him now was not the same girl he'd known. She'd put him through hell, but then again, he'd done the same to her. It was only fair. You, he said, his voice making something inside her crack. She's always been a little broken, but now she was missing a chunk, like a porcelain doll dropped on her head. She blinked rapidly, tears stinging her eyes. Where is she? She asked, barely above a whisper. She couldn't take her eyes off the shovel. Was he burying something or digging something up? How did you find me? He asked. A hard lump formed in the back of her throat, choking her out. The edges of her vision were starting to darken, just like the night on the road. Breathe in, breathe out. Josh barely moved. Were you tracking me? I turned my phone off. A shadow settled on his eyes. He straightened his shoulders. It doesn't matter now, I suppose. Where's my sister? She asked. Whatever you're doing won't bring Mignon back. Hearing her name come out of his mouth made her feel like she'd gone insane, as if she would start foaming at the mouth. Don't say her name. Let's talk about this, he said. We can sort this out. Where is she? Amelia asked again, stronger now. Josh's hands flexed instinctually. His jeans were covered in dirt, his arms filthy up to the elbow. The look in his eyes was dark, uncanny, a far cry from the charming facade he used around everyone else. This was the real Josh. You were bluffing this whole time? At one time, she might have imagined herself being the unhinged, laughing, maniacal mastermind. maniacal mastermind, revealing her ultimate plan while Josh cowered in fear. But now, all she could manage was staying upright. She wasn't as strong as she thought she was. She wasn't as strong as she wanted to be. Is this where? Just tell me. Be honest with me for once in your whole life. Her words trembled as she said them. Is she here? He worked his jaw, inspecting her. What did he have to gain from this? What did he have to lose? His gaze pierced through her and still stood her ground. And she still stood her ground. She knew the answer. He knew she did. So he stepped aside like a gentleman and gestured to the earth at his feet. Amelia barely registered that she was stepping forward. It was as if her body had become detached from her mind. The hole was shallow, the dirt recently overturned, the smell lingering in the air closer she got to it. As she kneeled down in the soft earth, the world melted away. All that ever existed, all that ever mattered, was the small corpse of trees hidden away in the desolate forest, where secrets had been buried. She scraped her fingers through the dirt, clawing at it slowly, methodically, painfully. Her fingers snagged on something hard and smooth, and then on something thin, a chain. She pulled and brought it to the light. A silver necklace, a compass. Mignon. She was right here. Amelia didn't feel like she herself was alive anymore, like she was real or ever existed. She was a ghost, come back to haunt the world, and no matter what she did, it wouldn't change that. She breathed, but no air came in. She gasped, but she was suffocating. She cried, but no tears fell. There weren't any left. A minute could have passed, maybe an hour, but she kneeling in the shallow grave, staring at the soft brown dirt below her, she couldn't dig any further. She knew Mignon was there. She could feel her. The life of her had seeped out into the ground beneath her splayed palms. She tried to fight him. Did she know what was going to happen to her? Had she seen the lake, sparkling like diamonds on a blue velvet blanket, and knowing where she was going? Did she know how much Amelia loved her? Amelia stood, slowly, operating on mechanical hinges, and faced Josh. He kept his distance, standing a few paces away from her, and watched her with a neutral expression. No regret, no remorse, no grief. Absolutely nothing. There was a flash of silver in his hand, and Josh showed her the knife. He'd come prepared. He must have known it would end like this. Now that you know, he said. Slowly, she raised her empty hands. Amelia had known it would end like this too, and she still hadn't brought anything to protect herself. She knew this is how it was supposed to go, where she would always end up. It was the way things always were. Chapter 46. Amelia. Why? She asked. She was surprised that she was calm enough to speak. That was the ultimate question. Why? 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 She didn't care how. She didn't care when. She wanted to know why. Make it make sense. Josh stared at her. Are the police coming? Are they here to take me away? No, she said. No one's coming. It's just you and me. Really. All of this, after everything you've done, and you don't even bother to see it all through? Believe me or not, it doesn't matter. All I want to know is why. Josh paused, barely breathing. She thought maybe he was listening for the distant sound of sirens headed their way, but instead all that he could hear was the chipper morning songs of birds overhead. No one was coming. She didn't believe in the police anymore. She didn't believe that they could have helped her at all. Not in ways that meant anything. She left everything behind for this one moment, and she wasn't going to waste it. Josh scrubbed his chin with the back of his wrist, smearing more dirt onto his skin. I loved her, and she didn't love me back. She wanted to break up with me. She tried to run. I couldn't let her leave. I grabbed her and held her down, and she screamed. She wouldn't stop screaming. I had to make her quiet so she would listen. I loved her so much, and she wouldn't listen. Saying it out loud, his chin quivered. Amelia got the distinct impression that this was the first and last time he would ever say those words to another person. Amelia didn't have anything to say. Hearing him admit it made everything snap into focus, clear as the lake water. He could be lying. He could be telling the truth. Either way, it didn't change the fact that Mignon was dead. And it was all his fault. Once Joss had started, it seemed like he couldn't stop. He waved his knife as he spoke. It was an accident. It was done. She was so quiet I didn't even realize what happened until I couldn't throw away my entire future because of one mistake. I had a life, and I couldn't spend it in jail. So did she, Amelia said, barely able to maintain control of her voice. She had a life and a future, too. Josh actually smiled. She saw a flash of the Josh he put on for the world, the Josh who disarmed and charmed. I got a chance to start over. Don't we all deserve that? Don't we all deserve to be the person we want to be? One mistake and that's it? I'm sorry about what I did. I truly am, he said. Liar. Liar, 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 liar. But it couldn't ruin my life. I couldn't let it happen. Is there a chance you'll forgive me? Amelia met his eyes. No, I won't forgive you. Josh's expression remained unchanged. He operated on a different playing field than the rest of the world. Well then, that's a problem. Because I can't let this get out, so I can't let you go. The knife glinted in the morning light. The Mignon of her imagination had pleaded with her not to go through with this, and she hadn't listened. She wanted this. Maybe Amelia, too, had died the second Mignon disappeared, and Amelia was only a ghost operating her own meat suit. Dying now wasn't the worst thing that could ever happen to her. The worst thing had already happened. Before she could react, Josh lunged forward and Amelia put her hands out. They both screamed and slammed into each other. Immovable objects frozen in a vicious embrace. They stood facing one another, staring each other down, almost as if they were about to kiss. A bright, white-hot flame bloomed in Amelia's stomach as she looked deep into Josh's eyes. Somehow, more agonizing than the wound in her gut, it felt like she was staring into a bottomless, eternal pit, to the end of the world itself. She felt the closest she'd ever been to Mignon since she'd vanished. The world was not a fair place. It was not meant for girls like Amelia before her sister had disappeared. She had needed to become something else, and it only ended here, at this inevitable point. Josh's cheek twitched and his hand shook as he held the knife in her body. How beautiful and horrible it is to look at him. She drowned in the smell of him, of earth and decay, sweat and hot breath. Blood drenched the front of her shirt, sweeping from her gut where the blade had gone in. He'd stabbed her someplace deep, the acid of her own body eating her from the inside out. Her knees gave out and she fell forward into him. He held her for a moment, just as he had so many times before. Then he let go of the knife and stepped back as she dropped to the ground. She'd imagined dying to be a lot like being born, thrust into a world screaming and crying and confused, but she was still, silent and calm. The hilt of the knife protruding from her belly looked alien, a sight she couldn't process. Josh stood back, looking at her, his skin taut against his cheekbones like a skull, his hand coated in her blood. She'd never felt anything like it before. Dying was a one-way experience. Sweat drenched her face, and she looked at him, kneeling in Mignon's grave, and she still smiled. "Look what you made me do," he said. Blood filled her hands as she cupped her stomach, dripping through her fingers. It was so warm and sticky and full of life that left her. Josh took another step back, then turned and ran. Amelia only heard the sound of him crushing through the underbrush, fleeing the scene. She put her hand on the soft earth of Mignon's grave. It was getting harder to breathe. Darkness had started to creep along the edges of her vision, thus black robes skirting the outskirts of her mind. With all the energy she had left, she crawled her fingers through the dirt, and grasped onto Magnon's necklace once more and pulled it free. She crawled towards the base of the great sugar pine, near Magnon's final resting place, and pressed her back against the trunk. A gentle breeze whispered through the treetops, making them sway and sigh, tickling the bright sky of a new day. It was quiet now, save for her hollow, ragged breathing. With sticky red fingers, she tugged her own necklace off her neck, breaking the chain. At last, the necklaces were reunited, and she clenched the pair in her fist, soaking them in blood, together at last. Then Amelia laughed, wheezing and coughing, the taste of blood on the back of her tongue. To die was not the end for her. Before she'd confronted Josh, she'd made one last move. She scheduled a post for her Instagram account. It was the picture of Shasta Lake, glistening in the morning light, geotagged with her exact coordinates, knowing it would be the eventful place of her own death. Millions of followers would see exactly where she was, where she'd been, where she was going. The caption read, "Here we are, at the end of all things. Where have we gone? Find us here." Everyone will know. Millions will learn the truth. Josh cannot stop it. He can try to run. He can try to hide. But eventually he will be found. He will be caught. And he will be known for exactly what he is, a monster at the lake in the woods. Amelia smiled, though it had turned into a grimace. It hurt to die. She rested against the tree, the knife still inside her, staring at Magnon's shallow grave. Being here finally felt like being home. She laughed, but the hole in her gut made her stop. She didn't want to pull out the knife. Everything hurt too much. Instead, she started to talk. "I found you, men. It's been a long time. I didn't know I'd even make it this far." Every word felt like it would be her last, but Amelia kept talking. It was like Mignon was right there with her. A bird flew overhead, coasting on the breeze. Amelia blinked against the sunlight, finding tears gathering at the corner of her eyes. "Remember how we used to play hide and seek? You were way better at it than I was. I think you cheated, though. I remember getting so mad at you because I'd look up, and because I'd look and look and look and couldn't find you anywhere. And then you pop out and scare me from a place I thought I'd already checked before, like our treehouse. I thought I was just too scared to really find you, knowing you'd be waiting to pop out anyways. That treehouse out back, our headquarters, our secret base. I never changed a thing, even when you went missing. Remember when we count falling stars to make a wish? Well, I wish I could have you back. Guess I had to come find you, just like old times." A tear slid down her face, but she didn't bother wiping it away. Her body felt heavy, like she could sink into the earth and sprout flowers, become covered in moss, grow roots. Time had slowed to a trickle, same as her blood. "People would know what happened to you. About time, really. I'm sorry, men," she said, her voice cracked. "I'm sorry I didn't find you sooner. I tried. I really did, but you can rest now. It's over. You can go someplace better." Amelia thought about her mom and dad crying. Crying for them felt like it would take too much out of her. The earth was soft under her legs, and the trees sturdy at her back, the air full of pine and wildflowers. This wasn't a bad place to die at all. Mignon appeared in the distance, getting closer, but she didn't look like Mignon anymore. Mignon was something else now. She was free. The dark closed in. Amelia couldn't keep her eyes open. She thought she heard someone calling her name. It sounded like Mignon, but the voice was closer. Something else besides her imagination. She almost thought it was real. "Amelia! Amelia Lee!" The voice was getting louder, but the dark was getting darker. Someone was coming through the woods. Someone who'd been trying to find her all this time. And then there was another voice. Many voices. Radio static. Policemen with shields and the sound of Josh yelling. Screaming that he'd been set up, that he didn't do it, that it was an accident. Then someone was there, with a hand on her stomach, stopping the bleeding. Mignon, Amelia whispered. No, I'm Harper, said a girl Amelia had never seen before, dark-haired, dark-eyed, like her sister. You're okay. We've got you. Amelia smiled. It was over. She looked up and saw a streak of light across the sky. Amelia squeezed the hand holding hers. The stars were so bright, and she wanted to count every last one. Acknowledgements. So many thanks to my amazing editor, Laura, and my dear friend and publisher, Emily, who believed in this book from the beginning. Thank you to Richard for always cooking up the most fun books together. Thank you to Hannah at 3 Arts for keeping my lights on. Thank you to Ellie Goldsmith and everyone at Gotham. Thank you to my friends and family, and my most especially my two, Mike and Maddie. And that is the end of the book. Josh got what he deserved in the end. But we don't know if Amelia lived. I'm hoping she lived, but from the way it seems, she was dying right there. I just joined, Brad. No, I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, we will be ending stream now. Great book. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the book, guys. I'm glad it ended that way, but kind of not glad it ended that way. I wish that it happened differently, I guess, but at least Mignon got some justice. That was a crazy ride from going to like, oh no, this YouTuber with like millions of followers went missing, to being like, oh, well, she faked her entire identity. That's crazy. Get some sleep, mommy, and water. I definitely will. Your ASMR voice and book? Yes, indeed. Would you find another one to read to us in the future? Of course. This is the second book I've read on stream. Many more coming in the future. Probably some shorter ones because it's taken me so long to read that one. Let's see who we have to find. Let's see who we have to raid out to. And mommy's gonna get some sleep because I'm very tired. Anybody same category tonight? Following. Okay, we do have the book dragon. So I hope you guys enjoy their stream, and I will see you tomorrow. I love you, and goodbye. Mwah. Berg, you're such a good boy for mommy. Okay, I love you. Bye.